All right, guys, tonight what I need you to do is take some really good notes, really good detailed notes, because tomorrow in class we are going to get started on writing a poem. Not very often do you write a poem in math class, but we're going to write an acrostic poem, and it's going to be over slope. And I'm going to use tonight's video to explain to you what I expect of you. So let's just go ahead and get started. All right, why are we writing a poem in math class? Well, that arrow right there tells you this is a requirement that you have to complete the portfolio that you need to graduate high school. At the end of your high school career, you have a portfolio that tracks all the writing that you've done in your high school years, and even some from your middle school years, that you can look back and be like, hey, I've grown so much, or maybe you'd be like, well, I got worse, or whatever the case may be. But this is part of your requirement, so that's why we're doing it. All right. You're asking, well, what's a good example of an acrostic poem look like? Well, what's a bad example? Well, I'm going to tell you. And first of all, I'm going to tell you what an acrostic poem is. An acrostic poem is just a poem. That uses a word for a format. And what I mean by that, so say that I used my last name. I would write it vertically, and I would write a poem using that letter for a starter. It doesn't have to be for a starter. It could be like, I could make some kind of creation. I could, start over here and go all the way through. It doesn't matter. As long as this word is written vertically and you've got a poem. Okay, this type of example would make me sad. It's very, very sad. Who would not cry? Look at that sweet, soft, sweet little baby. She looks so sad. This poem, the reason it would make me very sad is because most of them only have one word per line. And school, if you'll see, this is an acrostic poem. School is being spelled. It's got super cool, happy, on time, outdoor play, learning. That doesn't really make sense. It's just not, it doesn't flow. That's not what I want. This type of example would make something similar. I'm not saying something just like this, but something similar would make me a lot happier. For instance, this poem right here is spelling out welcome. And it starts, when you enter this room, learning is essential, cooperation is expected, organization is key, making others laugh is great, and education is most important. That poem flows. It makes sense. It's in complete sentences. It sounds like somebody is just talking to you. And little did you know is you're spelling the word welcome at the beginning of each sentence. This poem, though, on the first line, it doesn't have one of my criteria standards, and is that I want at least 3 words per line. And if you'll notice over here, it says the acrostic, put 3 words on each line, and it's easy if you make it rhyme. And you do not have to make it rhyme. That's something that I will stress. You don't have to make it rhyme, but it is more pleasing for me to read it and grade it if it does, but I'm not going to force you to. I'm not a writing teacher. I'm a math teacher. I just want you to follow my rules, that I'm asking you what the specifications that I want, and I'll be happy. Here are your guidelines. You might want to pause this and write this down because this is what you're going to be graded on. You must have at least 3 words per line. Okay? Is, a, the, don't count. But yes, they are words. But like I said, I'm not an English teacher. I'm a math teacher. These are my rules. I want you to follow them. And like I said, you make me happy, I'll make you happy. Have to have at least 3 words per line. The poem must explain what slope is. It can't have... The word that we're going to be spelling out is actually slope. It's slopes with an S. And it's got to be about slope. Okay? You need to mention the following aspects about slope. I need to know the 4 types of slope, which are positive, negative, 0, and undefined. I need to know what rise over run means on a coordinate plane. And if you're not really sure about it, rewatch the slope video that I assigned to you earlier. I need to know what the definition of slope actually means. You can look in your math book. If you need to look at that definition, reword it, put it in your own words, and use that definition. And I also want to know the formula that you would use to calculate slope by using ordered pairs. And if you can't remember, it's also in that slope video that we watched earlier. What I really want you to do is think of it as if you were explaining what slope was to somebody that had never heard about slope. If they could read your poem and make sense of what slope is, then you have succeeded. This is, I know it's a lot to comprehend. I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm going to let you pause it and read this. You do need this, starting here will explain to you more about what I expect. Up here is another example of an acrostic poem, an example of a word using the word school. Down here is where I really want you to focus. First couple steps, it helps you to, start with your name or start with a subject, or it just doesn't matter. Write a quick poem just to get used to it. Brainstorm some words, some ideas that, like I said earlier, that you have to use those aspects to include in your poem. I do not want you to write the poem tonight. I don't want you to get started on it tonight. I just want you to brainstorm. Take these notes and be ready to get started on it tomorrow. But that is all. That's it for your notes tonight. Like I said, please don't get started on it because I want to talk to you about it tonight. But I do want you, with your notes, you can brainstorm some ideas on what you want to talk about. Maybe think of some words that rhyme using slope. Think, slope and pope, or just rise and run. Think of something that rhymes if you're going to make it rhyme. Don't stress out about this. We're going to take the whole day tomorrow to work on it. Get some rest tonight and a good breakfast in the morning, and I will see you tomorrow.